In yesterday's Ask RC, we explored the question of why Jesus wasn't able, careful with those words, but wasn't able to heal more people more powerfully, more spectacularly when he was in Capernaum. And I mentioned that there are many who argue that somehow the lack of faith in the audience meant that Jesus didn't have the power to do so, and argued that no, that's not the right perspective, but rather it meant that the purposes weren't fitting. And I affirmed in that answer that Jesus has the power and the authority to heal all people everywhere, which raises today's question: why doesn't he? I've asked that question about those whose bold claim to have the power of healing has raised my skepticism. Well, really? Well, why don't you go walking through the hospitals? If you have that much power, why don't you do it? How much more so would that be the case when we're talking about the one who actually has the power? Why doesn't Jesus heal everyone? And there's a very simple reason. Because everything that Jesus does, he does for his glory and for the well-being of his people. Everything he does for his glory and for the well-being of his people. Years ago, I had a congregant who was in a bad way. Her husband had left her. She had 2 small children. And the church came alongside and helped her and treated her essentially as a widow. And I understood that that was a deep burden on her. It was difficult for her. And I said to her, I said, look, I understand that it's difficult. What you need to understand, as difficult as it is that right now, your calling is to be Jesus to our congregation, so that our congregation can be Jesus to you. That is, remembering Jesus said, when you gave food to the least of my brethren and drink and clothing, you did it unto me. That means you are him to us. In order for us to clothe Jesus, to feed Jesus, to give him water to drink, we need someone to need those blessings. And secondly, when we do it in his name, we're doing it as him. We're his body. It's a difficult calling. It's a genuine hardship, but it is a calling nonetheless. And that can relate to why we're not healed. Maybe we're not healed because someone needs to bless us and serve us. Maybe we're not healed, or someone we love is not healed, so that we can learn to trust more fully in him. Right? Remember Paul and the earnestness of his prayers to have his thorn in the flesh removed from him. And God explicitly says, look, I'm not going to heal you because I need you to know your dependence on me. The short answer is God has his reasons. He knows what he's doing. Remember that the man born blind, when Jesus healed him, remember the disciples said, well, why is he blind? Is it his sins or is it his parents' sins? And Jesus said, no. But that the glory of my Father would be made known. And then he healed the man. This man was blind his whole life, so that Jesus at that moment could illustrate what it meant that he was the light of the world. Friends, we're here for him. We exist for his purposes. We exist for his glory. We exist so that his person could be made known. And if he calls us to walk through the valley of the shadow of death, first he promises he will walk with us. And secondly, we must say, wherever you go, there I will follow. I trust you. The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord.